What's up, party people? It's KeysDAN with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live and in living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Famous? It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do I always send you? DJLittleRock.com. One more time, DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote. And maybe you could have me at your next event. You know I like to party with the people. The people need to be entertained. Are you not entertained? Let me entertain you. Make your next thing a big one. Speaking of entertainment, today on the program, I have Paul Jupe. Oh, you know that name. Jupe. Paul Jupe. He's out of Portsmouth in the UK. That's right. We're talking to the UK. All the way to the UK. He's a singer, songwriter, musician, touring. I mean, he's been a few places, but you're going to get to know a little bit more about Paul Jupe in the next few minutes. So stick around. Coming up this week, I have one public show for you. My usual Friday night gig at the Rab in Conway, Arkansas. The Video Dance Party Karaoke Jam. That's right, I said karaoke. You're the stars of the show. You get to sing. It's a little concert starring each and every one of you. We got a full bar. We got the kitchens open. Good food. You can have some supper there. You can have some drinks. You can do some dancing. You can do some singing. And you could play pool. They got 10 diamond-style pool tables. In fact, they have a pool tournament on Friday night. So if you want to try your hand at playing pool and possibly make some money while you're doing it, you check out the Rab, Conway, Arkansas. RAB. That's on Friday nights. I'm there from 8 p.m. until 12:30 in the a.m. Oh, always a good time at the Rab. And then on Saturday, I think I have a wedding or maybe a birthday party. I can't remember which, but unless you're invited, you cannot come. Why am I mentioning it? Because I get to do weddings still. I get to be part of people's big days, people at their happiest times, and I get to be a part of that show as well. So if you have some weddings that you need some entertainment at, and yes, you do need some entertainment at it, you give me a call or simply go to DJLittleRock.com and check that out. All right, that's enough intro. Let's get into it with Paul Jupe out there in Portsmouth in the UK. I got Paul Jupe on the Zoom, so if you're listening to the audio version of this, check out the video version on my YouTube page, youtube.com/user/KeysDAN. Zooming Paul Jupe now.
Hello.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. The man's right on time, looking good. Got a space to talk in. Oh, that's fantastic. How is life across the pond there, Mr. Paul Jupe?
Oh, it's very, very hot at the moment. Very, very hot, which is lovely because we've had such bad weather, you know.
Wait a minute. Portsmouth. I always think of everywhere in the UK being cold and foggy, but Portsmouth, is that different?
It usually is. It usually is.
Well, fantastic. Welcome to the summertime. I think the summer solstice is coming up real soon, so it's officially going to be the longest day of the year pretty soon. But hey, it's nice to have you in my face. What's happening, Paul Jupe? It's KeysDAN.
It's all doing very well. Thank you very much. I've just been sort of doing a few shows and writing more music and just generally enjoying music as you can, you know.
Well, give the people an idea of what a Paul Jupe is, man. It's easy to go to pauljupemusic.com. I think it's the website that will take you, or I guess the link that'll take you to the website is pauljupemusic.com, if I'm not mistaken. And it takes you to a pretty good website. Got your smiling face right there on the front and, places to enter the site. Paul Jupe, either of the two images to enter your site. All right. I like that. Did you build that website yourself?
No, I had someone build that for me. That side of the technology is time consuming, and it's someone that knows far better than I do. So I stick to the music.
See, that's given me an idea of where you are, technology, and where your strengths lie and where your priorities land. Your priorities are making the good music, not necessarily, working with the social media and the other things. But you do have a very good social media presence. I think that it used to be when we were kids. To be a rock star, you sell a bunch of records. Now you have to have a bunch of fans on your social media. You have to be some kind of a. You have to do a lot of different jobs. When I first started DJing, it was 2 turntables and a microphone, and I barely had to use the microphone. Sometimes it was just the 2 turntables. My job was not there to talk and to be a presence in that respect when I was DJing for parties or skating rinks or different events. I was there to play the music, be that guy to set the mood, set that crowd, set that ambiance. Now I have to be so much more. I have to be I have to be the roadie because I have to carry my own equipment in. I have to be the promoter. I have to be on the social media, make sure that everybody knows where my shows are. Do you find it frustrating? Because, I know we've got to be about the same age.
Yeah. I mean, as you say, I mean, when I started playing, the ripe old age of 14, which is a while ago now, it was just basically you got out there and you played, and if people liked you, they came to the shows, and then they'd buy, your dare I say it, cassettes and, your records, and that's what it was all about. It was just playing and putting yourself in their presence so that you could sell merchandise and things like that. Now, as you say, you've got to have several hats on, and the sort of publicity side of things it really does take up a lot of time, actually more than playing, to be honest with you, because you're there constantly. Keeping a presence on social media and on your website and things. And it does take up a lot of time. Yeah, so it's a lot more things added to being an independent artist.
Well, that's one of the reasons I like these podcasts that we're doing right now. Is it's mutually beneficial. We both get some kind of recognition for doing this podcast. It's fully selfish of me because I get to learn from you, Paul Jupe. People can go to the website. They can go to your YouTube page. You've been putting 5 years at least of content out there. You playing your guitar. You playing not just originals, but also some covers. There was one that I was listening to earlier. You have tons of covers that you started off with. You and your guitar doing your thing. But I was listening to one. Oh my gosh, I can't even remember which one it was, but classic rock. I mean, and everything that I listened to in high school is now classic rock. Sadly,
well, that's where my roots are really. I started off like pretty much everybody doing covers, touring with cover bands, and still do. I've played all genres of music. Rock, rock music is obviously where I come from. Hence the country rock, and I've always liked country music as well. And now that you can mix the two. It's perfect for me because Angus Young from AC/DC was the whole reason I started playing guitar in the first place. He was just my idol. At 14 years old, I went to see the Highway to Hell tour and the Back in Black tour, which was just, now I look back and think, wow, what a privilege what that was to see that. And I just watched bands like the AC/DC, Thin Lizzy, all those type of bands, and just thought, this is what I want to do. This is, I want to play, and hence I picked up the guitar and went for it.
Well, you talk about a showman. If you're going to pick up a guitar, you might as well emulate one of the greatest showmen and guitarists ever. There's only 2 people that I could think of that could play guitar and do the duck walk at the same time, and that's Angus Young and Chuck Berry. Those are the 2 that could ever play guitar and dance and get down and oh my gosh, the athletics And unfortunately, Chuck Berry has passed on, but Angus Young is still. It still looks like he can at least do a little bit of those moves still in his little schoolboy shorts.
He's slowed down a bit, obviously, but he's still got it, and he's still rocking out there. And people are still coming to see them and want to see them, and that's what it's all about, isn't it? And they still love their music. After all the sort of tragedy and things they've had over the years, I don't think they would be continuing if they didn't really have a passion for what they do.
Well, you're talking about bands. My goodness, this is a band with longevity. And yes, they did have a tragedy. They lost Bon Scott, their former lead singer, very early on. And I guess it was 79 or 80. I know they did the Back in Black album, and that's an album that changed my life as well.
Oh,
I bought that Back in Black back in 1980. And if I didn't think I wanted to be a DJ or have anything to do with music, that was one of the records that really instilled that into me. And then they lost Angus Young, and Brian Jones, he took the mantelpiece, and he's doing very well. He has that showmanship as well between him and Angus Young playing off each other. And go ahead.
A little story. Apparently, when Angus Young were doing and AC/DC were touring with Bon Scott over in the UK, they went to see Geordie, which was Brian Johnson's band, obviously. And Bon Scott allegedly said, if there was ever anyone that was going to replace me, I'd have that man replace me. And that's lo and behold, that's what happened. Whether that's true, it's in the biography. That's how big a fan I am. I was fortunate enough, or sadly, I saw Bon Scott's very last gig, and then he died a week later. So that was just down the road from me, about 20 miles away. And they went out drinking a week later, and that was the last gig he ever did. So I was very privileged to see that.
Wow. Okay. Now you've brushed with greatness. I knew there had to be even more of a reason why AC/DC is so near and dear to your heart. Seeing them perform, because all I've had the privilege of is seeing them on music video. And I see that Bon Scott had that original. If you think of rock and roll, there's like the quintessential rock stars. The Ramones, they have a certain rock, these are, like a rock emulation. The Beatles, if you're thinking of a rock group, then maybe the Beatles, the Beach Boys. There's only a few, maybe a handful or two handfuls that you can think of as rock stars. But I mean, there's so many bands but to have that longevity, if only, we have that staying power. I've been a DJ for a long time, and I've gotten to this level. I've been higher, I've been lower. And you say you've been in different bands since you were 14. Have you always been in Portsmouth, or have you moved around a little bit?
Yeah, I grew up in Portsmouth. I lost you a bit there. The connection was a bit slow. But yeah, I've always been in Portsmouth. Grew up there. I'm just outside of Portsmouth now. But that's where I did all my apprenticeship in music. I was lucky enough to have a lot of friends that one was a bass player, one was a singer, one was a drummer. We would all sort of get together in each other's family houses. How our parents put up with it, I don't know. But we'd play about 3 notes in about 3 hours, and we loved it. And, and it just went round and round and round and round, really loud, of course. That's how we all started. And then we obviously got to the age and got better and better over the years. And we started to split off and doing our own bands. And we were all jumping in sort of higher bands than the status that we were. And I ended up touring all around the South Coast and around the country in a pro band and doing covers, and it was just fantastic, And from there, I kind of, went from covers to write my own music and toured with my own bands, and the whole sort of thing. It's been like that. So I've been lucky, kind of, as I say, doing an apprenticeship, really, joining with the guitarists that were far better than I was, and with the willingness to learn, and just kind of went, how do you do that? How do you do that? They probably thought, oh, goodness, stop it. And I'm like, yeah, but how did you do it? So I learned a lot from just playing live and playing with guitarists that have been doing it for a long time, and great experience.
Well, Paul Jupe, that's what this podcast is a learning podcast. It's going to teach people how did you do it. And Paul Jupe, you've also mentioned there's several ways to make a living as a musician. You have to hustle. I mean, that's step number one. You have to believe in yourself. You have to work at your craft. You have to learn how to play your instrument proficiently enough to where you feel comfortable to go out on stage. And then you go out on stage, you do it. But you say that you've traveled all over the country. There's people that are in party bands every weekend within a 50-mile radius of their house, and they make a decent living. You know, maybe a couple hundred, I guess over there will be a couple £100 a week for a single musician. That would be, on a night, for a couple £100. Hey, that's a decent living. You're not making millions, but you're making enough to pay the rent, to put food on your on your plate. I mean, are you looking to be the type of musician? And you've been in bands, like I said, that have toured. Are you looking from now in your time? Are you looking to tour around the world, or do you want to remain, where you are, work in studios, keep making albums? What is it that Paul Jupe wants?
Well, I've been very lucky because I've been able to tour, not tour, but do a show in America. I've done some shows in Brazil. I've won some awards in America as well, and I've won some awards in Europe as well. So I've been very, very lucky doing that sort of thing. And these things have all been in the later years, and earlier, for anyone out there that, thinks, I've got a tour, I've got to do this, I for many, many years, I've done the clubs and pubs and, which is your apprenticeship. And there was, I wouldn't change those experiences for anything because they taught me so much, they taught me that, I made some major mistakes and probably still will, but, the difference is that you know how to get out of them and how to avoid these sort of things. And you can be playing to a few thousand people sometimes, and then the next night you can be playing to the barman, and that's the way music goes as an independent artist. But I think if I was going to give advice to anybody, I think it would be purely enjoy what you do, enjoy the music that you do, have fun, because it does go very quick. And as long as you're doing what you love, if there's two people there, it doesn't matter. It's those two people, you don't know who they are, so you just put on the show. And you just do it, and it's great fun.
Well, it's got to be good to be playing in your hometown. If you play close to Portsmouth, you have that hometown advantage. You have the people that you grew up with that want to support you, that, your family, your friends that want to support you. But to get out to Brazil and the United States and, North America, South America, to go and travel to those places, where you may or may not know a handful of people, that's got to be more daunting. I mean, what's better for you? Do you like the idea of taking an adventure, getting your guitar and taking an adventure around the world, or is it better to be home?
I love it. I mean, I just want to play music. That's all I want to do. I love writing songs. I love performing songs. They're the two best things in the whole career of an artist, for me. And that's what I love to do. And if an opportunity comes up to play anywhere and it can be done, then I'll do it, because it's all part of what I love to do. And that's it. So, back to your original question is what, does Paul Jupe want? I think, I'm obviously a lot older now. I just want to play, and if the opportunity comes to play abroad or at home, it's all good to me, and I'll do whatever I can just to do what I love.
Well, my favorite band of all time is Queen, and Freddie Mercury, Brian May, John Deacon, Roger Taylor. Those guys, they gelled so well. Unfortunately, they lost their lead singer, and other people have come in to take over. That one kid that won the America's Got Talent. Adam seems to be doing quite well. He doesn't have quite the octaves, quite the range that Freddie did. But I'm thinking about the videos that I've seen from some of the concerts that they did in South America. I think some of their biggest concerts were in South America. It's kind of a novelty for, a country that doesn't speak the language or generally doesn't speak the English language, for you to go over there and give them a melody in a different language, just as similarly as, if a Portuguese artist comes to, to us, or I'm playing samba music, or I'm playing some, Spanish, flamenco guitar music, or Mexican music, whatever. It's got that feel to it, and I may not understand the language, but it makes me feel a certain kind of way. Do you feel like they respond differently, even if they don't understand what you're saying?
Yeah, well, they're absolutely great audiences. I'm finding that they just really into it. And in fact, they were, I wrote a sort of quite a heavy rock album for that tour, and they were singing back the lyrics and things like that to me, which was just, and the singer, who was Brazilian, sung the songs for me. He kind of translated on stage that I was thankful to be there, and how great it was. It was a marvelous experience, and likewise for America too. I did a show with the International Singer Songwriters Awards in Atlanta, and I came back and got to play for a great artist called Robbie Hart. Did some songs as a guitarist for her. And then I managed to do some of my own songs, and to get the reaction, in the bar that was, in another country again, was fantastic. But as I say, it's just wonderful to have anyone that enjoys your music and wants to come and see you. It's just, truly grateful for all of it. Really am.
No, it's nice to be recognized by your peers, accolades, having a piece of, a piece of plastic and stone and metal and, whatever, glass. I'm familiar with the ISSA, and they seem to be, a group that really gets behind the independent artist, and to get all the independent artists together. I think it's always in Atlanta, right? Is that where you went?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's in Atlanta, and Tammany Dove, who is the CEO, for want of a better word, but she's got a fantastic team of people working in the International Singer-Songwriter Association, and they are brilliant. So if you're an independent artist anywhere in the world, it doesn't matter where you're from, and you're looking to maybe come over and put yourself in for an award, and all that sort of thing, and get nominated, then look, Tammany Dove, International Singer-Songwriters Association, and you won't regret it, because I've made a lot of friends from this. I went in 2023. I'm hoping to go back this year. And the people that I've been in contact and met are talking to me every day, obviously via technology, as it is now. You make good friends, and they really, really do support international artists. They really do.
Yeah, I do appreciate the networking. You said you played with Robbie Hart, if I'm not mistaken, and you're also involved with the people of Big Records. I know Tara put us together, and I'm very, that's another
doing that for me.
Yeah, it's another place that you network and you meet other artists, and possibly, they put shows together and they give you more opportunities. Say you're a guitarist and you need a drummer, and you need a bassist, and you need maybe a vocalist that sings in Brazilian. Now I'm understanding that you went to Brazil and you had a vocalist that was, singing in Portuguese, and that's okay. I could see that, and you're playing your guitar, and that music is international. It's universal. It's the universal language.
Which brings me to, I've said made a lot of friends, but in music in general, as you well know yourself, that music really, really does bring people together. People that I would never have met in my life are now good friends, and I have a lot of respect for. And without music, none of that would have ever happened. Incredible.
And then, you're open to that. Have you always been open at 14 years old, and even previous to that, when you were in Portsmouth, a young Paul Jupe, before you got that guitar, what were you into? Or were you a very extroverted person, or were you shy? I mean, how were your studies when you were a little kid?
Well, studies generally, yeah, they were. I was more interested in music, shall we say? But I kind of went out, and yes, I've always. Actually, I am very shy, but at the same time, when I play on stage, it's a different persona for me. I love to sort of get out there and play, put on a show, and meet people. But I would say, I started off very, very shy, and it's once again performing and stuff like that. It's kind of brought me out of myself a little bit more over the years, for sure. And now I can meet anybody, and I just love hearing their story as independent artists, because it's amazing how similar the stories are wherever you are in the world. These artists pretty much go through the same things. They really do.
Oh, you're telling me. I talk to people all over the world, that are attempting to create in one way or another, either through music or television or movies or authors, and some people, bakers, barbershop, who, it doesn't matter. They're all trying to thrive and survive, and ultimately they're trying to find something that is not too boring, something that is not going to drive them insane for doing it and having the ability to do it for a living. But you learn how to play music for yourself, and now or over the years you've developed ways to make money on it, to make a living playing the music. I have no idea if you have a day job, because a lot of the through lines with these podcasts and talking to different musicians and other creators for that matter is that they have a steady gig in the daytime that affords them to do their night job, to do the passion, to do what they love. I have a day job myself, and then on the weekends, on nights, I'm able to go and DJ, and, something that makes me happy while I'm making other people happy. Is that your experience as well?
Well, 100%. I've always been working when I've been touring and things like that. I've been very, very lucky that the jobs that I have are very relaxed, and I could go off and do a couple of weeks or whatever, and do what I love to do, and keep working, like you say, in the evenings and that. But it's always been a necessity to have a day job, and that's one of the things that kind of runs side to side. As you well know, you've just said yourself, you've got to have that stability, but you can still make money out of playing music. People want to see you playing songs, and they a lot of people say to me, play some covers, and then you can do one or two of your own songs and see how they go down, and people then will be interested in your songs, because there was a time when I was playing that you could play all your own music and do 5 or 6 covers, but now things have kind of changed, and people like to hear the songs that they like, and then if you throw a couple of your own in, then I think it kind of works, because people go, oh, what was that song? I really like that, and of course it's yours, which is great.
See, that all depends on the gigs that you book, and this show business is a hustle. Whether you're hustling for yourself as an independent, or you have a management, somebody that's hustling for you. That the thing about having somebody hustle for you is they're going to take a piece of that pie. If you make £1, they're going to take 10% of that pound, and so you're only going to get 90%. So it's tough, to give up that money. Sometimes, I likened it years ago when you're selling records. You could sell 1 million records with a record company and make $100,000, or you could sell 100,000 records as an independent and make $100,000. You're still, the end result is you're making that same amount. But do you have somebody that's taking a big slice, or are you making it all yourself? But by the same token, you cannot do this all by yourself. And I've already gleaned it from you, Paul Jupe, that you have friends, you have contacts, you have networks, you have people that are helping you, and in turn, while they're helping you, you help them as well. If they need a
Oh,
guitarist,
100%.
like Robbie Hart needed a guitarist,
Yeah.
she called on
Yeah.
Paul Jupe. How did she get in
Yeah.
contact with you?
We kind of, funny enough, we met up in Birmingham. She was doing a show, which is about 3 hours away from me, north. And I went along to this show. And once again, obviously, I had contact. There was a few radio stations there. I had contacts there, so I was chatting. Robbie came along. We got chatting, and then, of course, literally a couple of years later, Robbie said, "I'm going to Atlanta, and would you like to play?" And it was like, "Yeah, I'm going to. So let's go for it." So that's the way things work, isn't it? 2 years have gone by, kind of kept in touch, and it just, there was a time that it kind of worked, and it was a brilliant experience.
See, I wonder how that happens, though. Why would she go all the way to Atlanta without a guitarist? Or could her guitarist not make it? That's the one thing about having a group of people
Yeah,
that you're counting on. Say AC/DC, Angus Young had a cold that day, and
yeah,
he broke his finger that day. He couldn't play his guitar, so they had to have a
yeah,
substitute. Is that what happened
yeah.
to Robbie that day?
No, I think it was just purely that I was going to the awards. I was up for an award there. Robbie was up for an award, and it was just kind of convenient there, really. And Robbie's pretty much a solo artist anyway on her own, so it just it was in the right place, right time, and it worked for both of us.
See, I like that. I see that's
Yeah,
people helping people. That's people connecting. There's a good community here in Conway, Arkansas, where I'm at. They all meet up at this place called TC's, I've heard tell it's the Grand Ole Opry West. It's
wow,
got a very it's got a big history in that
wow,
building. It's not the Grand Ole Opry right now. It's now called TC's, and they sell
easy. Yeah,
hamburgers, and they still have a big stage that people
sounds good to
on
me.
Sunday nights they go and they jam together, different bands, different musicians from all around the area get together and play with each other. It's nice to
Yeah,
have that community in Birmingham.
yeah.
At 14, you pick up this guitar. Who gave you the guitar? Who gave you the idea that was that music could be an avenue for you? Who got you that guitar?
Yeah, there's a bit of a story there actually because I couldn't afford a guitar. I was the youngest. I'm the youngest of three brothers, and my older brothers were playing music. Was a singer, and one was playing bass. And he knew I had a friend who had a guitar. So for my birthday, I was very lucky. My brother got me a guitar. It was like a Les Paul Coffee. And it was a lovely guitar. I loved it, to bits. So the first few weeks went past, and I started to sort of play it. And I walked down the stairs, and I heard my mum say to my brother, "That was really kind of you to get Paul a guitar." And my brother kind of, not seriously, but he kind of went, "Oh, we get fed up in a couple of months, and I'll have it back." And it was kind of like, "No, you won't." So that made me even more determined to learn. So that's one of the other reasons why I kept with it and kept playing. But initially it was Angus Young. I was listening to Dirty Deeds from Angus Young, from AC/DC, and Power Rage, and Let There Be Rock, If You Want Blood. And then, and as I say, Thin Lizzy, the early days, and all these bands were inspiring me to play. It was just kind of a natural progression, really, that I was just listening to guitar work, and I just thought, I want to do this, I want to do it.
Well, see, I'm glad that your brother had that wherewithal to give you the guitar. Now, you
Thank
mentioned
you.
some of the songs from AC/DC. My personal favorite, is "A Long Way to the Top," only
Oh,
because
amazing.
the bagpipes. If you could make
Yeah.
bagpipes rock, there's very few songs I know in a big
Oh, yeah.
country has bagpipes in it as well. But if you can make bagpipes rock, oh my gosh!
Yeah.
The,
That's the High Voltage album. Yeah, one of my faves. That's one of the songs that started really boosted their career, didn't it? And yeah, who would put bagpipes on a track? But does it work? Yes, it does. It really does.
Oh, I mean, the jam bands from the 70s proved that you could put almost every instrument, even the Beatles, you know, in their 10 years of being together and really being a band, they traveled the world and got influenced by the world. They're putting sitars and bells and whistles and, oh my gosh, the silver hammer. Bang, bang goes a hammer on a piece of metal. That is a hit song now. It's, you know, it's amazing what you can do if you have a thought, if you have ideas. The electronica music that came out and putting a Jethro Tull with his flute. You know, I'm sure he was growing up. I don't want to play flute. I want to be a rock star. And oh my goodness, one of the greatest rock stars ever.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, definitely. And all those classic bands are, you know, great, like your ZZ Tops and you know, and Aerosmith. I mean, they're experimental as well in their day and doing much different stuff and just classic stuff. And if it works is what I say. And you know, if you like it on there, then go for it. You know, other people will like it, I'm sure.
Okay, well, you mentioned Aerosmith and ZZ Top. That is a rock band that is stripped down. The minimum instrumental. You know, you have a guitar. You have a bass, you have a drum, and you have that guitarist or one of them has to sing the songs, and that is minimal. I think there's two-piece bands. There's bands that are a guitar and a drum, and I guess they must have some kind of electronical device that's providing some of the other stuff.
You can get a pedal now that follows the guitar and stuff like that. So. Or of course you can kind of sample a bass guitar or whatever the case may be, but it works, and you know it's all about energy at the end of the day, I think. And if you go and see them and you have a good time and it really moves you, then you know it doesn't matter. It's music and it's fantastic.
Well, we started off this podcast with a mutual, maybe not a fear, but a trepidation for technology and social media and the way of the now. But we kind of you have to keep up with the technology, with the way of the now. You know, these new microphones with the new computers that are hanging out behind me, and you know, making sure that you know we can connect with each other. I've had some of these bands that I've talked to on these podcasts. They don't even know each other personally. They've only met each other over the internet. There's a guitarist in Australia, and his drummer is in the Middle East, and his bassist is in Ireland somewhere, and they all somehow put all their music together, and it's all mixed down in Iceland. You know, somehow.
That's what happens here. I do my recording here in my little humble studio. I write the songs and put them down, do my vocals, do my guitar, sometimes, you know, banjo or bass or whatever, keyboards or whatever. But sometimes, you know, like now I've just finished a new song and it's gone off to Canada. The producer is working on it now. He's put drums on it. I've asked him to put some Hammond organ on it for me. And the bass player is further down the coast, which, you know, we've never met up. But I know him, like, you know, from talking online and stuff. And we've got this little team going, you know, and they're fantastic. And it's Jonathan and JT Studios in Canada and Andy Southern Rose in Devon. And brilliant team. And they master my music and do the magic, because I'm no producer. I can record and I can do all that stuff and put it together and make the creative side of it. But the production side of it is best left to people who are pros.
Yeah, I've been told sometimes when I mix master using this Adobe Audition that used to be Cool Edit behind me, and sometimes people will say, "Hey, you mix it too hot." You know, sometimes I'll make the vocals just a little too hot. You know, so where they have to turn it down in their headphones a little bit. It's clear. Right. But it's a little too hot. So I was like, okay, I'll have to back that off a little bit. And I had to learn myself how to produce music as well and produce audio. I've had recently very little need to produce music, but the audio for sure. But, you know, years ago in the 80s and the 90s, I was attempting to produce music, to have, I had this recording equipment that I was using for radio and various things, doing commercials and what have you. And it's a microphone, it's a mixing board. So I had musicians come in and try to record vocals as well. Now, the thing about now, the technology, it's gotten so inexpensive that, for £1,000 or so, you could have a computer with a microphone with the interface that you need, and you can make a basic demo. Is that what you have? I mean, what is the gear you're using?
Yeah, the same thing. I record on the software here. It all gets sent around the world, as you say. We're through different channels and stuff like that. They do their magic on it, and it comes back to me for the final listen. And it's just wonderful to get this kind of idea in your head. It goes off in its raw state, comes back, and it's sounding just like you wanted it. It's just an incredible feeling. But I'm going back to the days when I started, when bands had to be in the studio together, and you had to play that song through. And that was it. You all had your mics against your amps and stuff like that. The only one that probably wouldn't do it straight live was the singer, because he'd do it later on, but he'd still have to do a demo while you're playing. And it was totally analog, and that was it. You just played it, and if you got it wrong, you had to go back and do it again until it was right, which was good training and a good experience. And a lot with the earlier bands, you really did get the raw feel of it. So there was a lot to do in that, I think.
Yeah, using 4-tracks and reel to reels. A lot of times in the 50s and 60s, when the recording was new, when the recording industry was new, the whole band would get together in one room, maybe with several microphones. But I know the original recordings really were minimal on the microphones because it was so expensive to buy this technology, and it was new. So if you get one good microphone, everybody sings into that one good microphone. The only problem with that is you can't pull the stems apart. You can't pull the guitar away from the vocal, away from the drums, away from the bass line to get that proper mix. And now I have a DJ turntable, a digital turntable by Rane, R-A-N-E. This portion sponsored by Rane, that you can pull the vocals off of any track on the fly. Or if I want to make Paul Jupe a cappella, boom, I take all the instrumental off, and you can hear Paul Jupe clean as day, just doing his a cappella. And while I'm playing it live, and I'll probably do that this weekend over at the Rab. I'll be playing some Paul Jupe songs because just like you, I'll play a few of those covers, those old favorites that people like, but then I'll play some of the music from the people that I've been talking to on the podcast, and they'll go, "Who is that? That's pretty good." I say, "Oh, that's Paul Jupe out there in out there in Portsmouth in UK. Go check him out and find his music." And that's what we're supposed to be doing for each other, is helping each other out. You come on this, you give me content, and I give you promotion, and then together we end up having some kind of a friendship. So every time I see you online, you're gonna get a share from me, and I'll be sharing you. That's the way that people can help an artist, not just an independent artist, but your favorite artist. If I see AC/DC coming through and I want to share them, I'll give them a little share. If I see Paul Jupe coming through and I want to give him a little share because he's going to be at that show at that certain time. And if anybody's in the area, you go and see Paul Jupe. That's how we help each other, right?
100%. Yeah, 100%. That's what it's all about. And opportunities come from that you wouldn't believe. And as I say, I can say over the last 3 years through just meeting people and, just playing and just generally, listening to people's stories, opportunities really have opened up to me in ways that I couldn't have imagined. And I'm truly grateful for that.
So from 14, how long did it take for you to feel proficient enough to play in front of, maybe your schoolmates to begin with, or form a band and to go out and take it on the road? How long did it take from 14
from absolutely starting from nothing. Because obviously there was no YouTube or anything then. I was learning from records and bits and pieces like that. Then playing, like I say, three notes as loud as we possibly could and making some sort of noise. But to us, it was wonderful. I did my first gig at 18. I was 18 years old, and I played in front of a birthday party, funny enough, in the middle of like a countryside village hall. There was, probably about 60, 70 people there, but it might as well have been Wembley Stadium.
Yeah.
I was terrified, and I remember my drummer saying to me, "Don't forget, if you make a mistake, you'll never get it back." And just as I walked on stage, it was like, "Thanks a lot." But I was very lucky because I did one show like that, and within a week I was playing. I got headhunted by another band who were playing to sort of 1,000, 2,000 people, and within like a month I was playing to bigger shows, and I toured with them for quite some time, and I learned the ropes that way as well. So I've been very lucky within my career, I really have.
Yeah, it's amazing the bands, because they look at me as the DJ, and I'm one person. I bring all the equipment in, I play the music, and I take all the equipment out, and I'm only one person, and I take whatever money they've offered me, it all goes to me. But you have to split it between all your bandmates. So I'm sure that there's nights you may have come home with pennies in your pocket, and then some nights you come home, hey, you got you feel good. You got rewarded for all the work that you did.
Yeah.
Those gigs, 100%. They're hit and miss sometimes, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. But that's like you said, there's any kind of performer or business, like you say, there's ups and downs, and that's the way it works. And that's it's some of the quiet gigs, like I say, where you're only playing to the barman. I've done a fair few of those in my life, and at the end of the day, you learn something from that. So they're important to do, those gigs, and you just carry on putting on your show. You love playing music, you love playing in a band, you just do what you do, and and the next night you could be playing to a packed house, and it really is that erratic in music. But I think that's the kind of the wonderful thing about it, to be honest with you, is that it is so different. You never know what you're going to be playing to, which is amazing.
Now, back then, you alluded to going into studios. Were you pressing any records at 18 in your 20s? Were you pressing records?
Yeah,
Do you have
I was,
albums?
Mainly on cassette. I did them. It was a big thing for cassettes then. They seemed to sell much more than vinyl. And vinyl was a lot more expensive them days as well. So it was mainly for cassettes for, kind of an independent artist like myself. So yeah, we'd go out and we'd record the songs, put a cassette in, go and do some shows and sell them at the shows, sell T-shirts and badges, stickers, postcards, you name it. And that was what it was all about. And some nights the people would come along and buy them, and some nights they wouldn't. And it all depended. But that was a way of promoting yourself. Of course, flyers in them days as well, which are kind of banned now, but that was a big thing. So, I remember Dave Lee Roth saying that he'd stand out in LA shows and hand people flyers as they kind of went out of big concerts and that lot. And that's how Van Halen started. Incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that's in merchandising. You alluded to that as well. That's where the George Lucas and Star Wars really taught us that merchandising is the way you can make a couple of extra dollars off of this. And a lot of times with this show business, okay, let's say you got £1,000 to split between 4 or 5 band members. Okay, that's an okay payday for a week, for one night's work. But if someone would take the time, and after your shows, do you go to the merchandise table and sign CDs and maybe sign hats and sign body parts? What's the weirdest body part you've ever signed?
I've never really. I've usually just mainly CDs and that on the quite a straight career, I suppose. Really, yeah, it's been mainly CDs and like T-shirts or whatever and that type of thing. But it's that's incredible in itself. Just signing your autograph and people wanting that, and being, liking your music so much that they're interested in you, and it's fantastic.
I have a few CDs and T-shirts that I've signed over the had signed over the years, especially the T-shirts. I get them signed, and I go, "Wow, now I can't wear it because then I can't wash it." So I just have to hang it up in some place, I go,
Yeah.
well, maybe this was a mistake. I should have gotten, I have a record album back there that was signed and a CD that was signed, and I don't have too many records left. That maybe two. I have that one by Billy Crayon that he sent me, and then I think I have Jimi Hendrix Experience in the closet.
Wow, yeah.
But all the rest of them have either been lost or stolen over the years. It's all digital now. Nobody's selling physical copies of anything. But have you been able to see some kind of fruit on the digital downloads? Or if people are going to support you, is the best way to go to your website and buy some merch? Is there merch available on your website, or maybe go to one of your shows?
I have a Bandcamp site, and I have T-shirts and various sort of merchandise on there. If anyone was interested. And with streaming, as it's well known, I mean, streaming, you have to have so many streams before you even get anything you see to anything from it. But on the other hand, on the switch of that, my music wouldn't be able to be played by someone like yourself, around the world. It would be back to being local again, unless you were touring countries and that. So there's pluses and there's minuses, and I'm grateful when somebody from the United States or from Brazil or from Europe or anywhere in the world comes back and says, really like this, and they're streaming it regularly, and so it's got its swings and roundabouts. It really is.
Well, yeah, I mean, I had thousands of CDs, and I've ripped them digitally over the last 25 years. So now my whole collection is digital, and it's all backed up and backed up and backed up. And I guess that's the way of the now. There's very few people that I know that still have extensive record collections. But I guess if you go to TikTok and watch some of these DJs doing their live thing, you can say, oh, okay, there's still a lot of records out there. But how long ago did they buy those records? I used to have thousands of records. I had 13 Queen albums. I missed those things so much. Oh, my gosh. They were my gems, between Queen and Bowie, David Bowie and Adam Ant. Yeah, I know Adam Ant. How did he get to be number 3? Because he's so eclectic. Talk about showman. We were talking about Angus Young being a showman, and Paul Jupe. You're a showman as well. I've seen you play your stuff live on your YouTube page, and I encourage people to go. Now, one thing on your website, you need to have a link to that Bandcamp merchandise site so people can get your merchandise and support you even more. Get a little T-shirt. Get a T-shirt with your smiling face right on the front, playing guitar, maybe with your hat. Is that hat a part of your uniform? Are you always wearing the hat?
It is too. Yeah, it certainly is. Yeah, it's part of what I wear live and everything like that. I love the country rock music. So I've been a big country fan, and my roots are from heavy metal and rock. But I've always liked country. And when I heard, it's funny enough, Keith Urban, he did a sort of country. Well, he does a lot of country rock songs. First heard him, and I thought, this is perfect. This is two types of music that I absolutely love. This is the way forward for me. So the last 3-4 years, that's where I've put all my sort of intentions in, and I've really enjoyed meeting everybody. It's such a wonderful community, and as I say, made some great friends and had a great time.
Keith Urban, AC/DC. Are you sure you're not Australian?
Yeah. It does. Yeah, now you put it that way. Yeah, you're quite right.
Okay, all right. You got a little. I mean, hey, I love them too. I love them as well. And Nicole Kidman. Hey, no problem. Yeah. But no, I think I'm thinking about it, and I go, wow, okay. But is there an affinity for Australia, or it just happened to be that those are the ones you gravitated to?
gravitated to them, really. I mean, I could list numerous bands that I've followed and absolutely love, right from Judas Priest to Bon Jovi to there's so many different bands. Peter Gabriel, I think he's great. Genesis. I love all types of music, and if it works for me, it works. And I'm not worried about. I mean, I like a lot of '70s disco music as well. I've played in bands doing that, and I've enjoyed it very much. And it's just music is music, and that's my passion.
Who would have thought that 70s disco would have showed up at the end of Paul Jupe's video? This is fantastic. It's a great revelation at the end of the show. All right, let's start to land this plane. I've taken some of your time. I know I don't want this to be the last time that we talk. I want this. I want you to come back as time progresses. If you have, other things to promote, some shows. Are there shows coming up that people can see you in the Birmingham, in the Portsmouth area? Are people able to see some shows? What do we got?
Yeah, I'm playing a lot locally. I'm doing a lot of open mic nights as well, because I thoroughly enjoy that, because everyone turns up with their instruments, and you get I play one of my songs or two or three of my songs, and you get musicians. You get a guy up with a mandolin or a lady up with a mandolin, and someone to do some harmonies. And all of a sudden, my song's got a totally different sound, and I'll do the same with other, artists. And I really like the open mic scene, so I've been quite digging that lately, and that's where I'm at. So I'm around the area, and I do announce it on the social media. So yeah, if you're listening and you want to come down, then please do.
Well, give me some names of some of the bars and restaurants that you're going to.
There's the Square in Petersfield, which is a local place. I'm starting to go back down into Portsmouth again. So I'm looking for a few shows down there to play, like South Parade Pier, which is right on the seafront, and the pier, of course. So yeah, there's a lot of venues sort of coming up now, and music seems to be thriving again, which is great.
Fantastic. All right. You've given shout outs to people that have helped you along the way. You've talked about some of the people that are, the people that you've worked with between Robbie Hart and Big Records and the ISSA. Any other shout outs for people that have helped you along?
As you say, Tara and all the team at Big Records, all the team at ISA, International Singer-Songwriters Association, they're just amazing. Country Music Social Media, they're based in the UK, but they've helped me along the way for many years, and they're superb. And of course, people like yourself that are promoting my music. Without guys and ladies like yourself, my music wouldn't be out there. So I'm forever thankful for yourself, for putting my music there and getting it heard. And of course, the people that are listening it, downloading it, and just enjoying my music and coming to my shows. Thank you so much. It's it's everything I do. This is me, music, and anytime I can get to play to people that like it, it's it's well worth it, and I'm truly grateful.
All right, Paul Jupe. I always finish these things off with last words for the people. This could be words to live by, something you heard a long time ago, maybe a mantra that you wake up with every morning, or whatever pops into your head at this moment in time. Paul Jupe, give the last words for the people.
Well, every morning I wake up and I'm truly grateful for the opportunities that are coming my way for the day. And that's something I live by, is being grateful. And I'll say it's amazing how many opportunities come your way just in life, just for being grateful. It's a powerful thing.
Well, there you have it, party people. Paul Jupe. What a cool dude. That guy's been doing it for a long time, and all kinds of music flavors, okay? From 14 years old, he's learning how to play guitar, but then he's playing in cover bands. And who would have thought at the end, after all that classic rock and, the hard rock bands from the UK, from the USA, and all of a sudden at the end he says, even some disco music. I go, I like it, the disco. I got no problem with the disco. One of the last radio stations that I was working at in Miami was freestyle, disco, salsa, merengue. Those are like the 4 tent poles. It was half English and half Spanish. Let me tell you, the Spanish people like to dance to that disco, and the disco people, they like that Spanish flavor as well. So music is universal, man. You can pick up a little taste. He likes Keith Urban. He likes AC/DC. He likes Bon Jovi. He likes, so many different types of music. And all that music, all that flavor gets all mashed up and becomes Paul Jupe music. How about that? And speaking of Paul Jupe music, it's pauljupemusic.com, and that leads you to his website. And you get a lot of good information right there at pauljupemusic.com. If you have some collaboration ideas, if you want to play with Paul Jupe, or if you want to invite Paul Jupe over to your area, your corner of the earth, you make sure you get in contact with him and see if you get that Paul Jupe style in your area. And go support the local music while you're at it, okay? Whenever I have the night off and I got nothing and I know that there's a local band playing, I try to get out to them. I know that hardly ever happens. Usually I have gigs on the same nights, on the weekends. But, hey, every once in a while I get lucky and I get to go out and support my local live music. All right, that's it for this edition of What Makes You Famous. Thank you so much, Paul Jupe, for being on the show. I appreciate it. Now, I'm turning my attention to you, my loyal listener. If you'd like to tell your story, I encourage you to give me a call, 501-470-6386, or email keysdan@aol.com. That's it for me. It's KeysDAN, RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.